Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to study phonology, that is the sound patterns of a language. First of all, let's see what is phonology and why do we need it. Phonology studies the sound patterns in a language and across languages. It means that in phonology we get to know about patterns of sounds, especially differences and similarities between sounds in different languages and within one language. Different patterns of sounds within a word when different sounds occur at different positions and between the sound differences between different words. In a more formal way, we can define phonology as the study of definite organization and usage of speech sounds in a particular language. How speech sounds are organized in the mind and how we use these sounds to convey meanings. The thing is that the user of a language have the knowledge of their language in an abstract form in their mind, but this abstract version that is in our mind is realized in actual speech quite differently based on different situations. The definition of the phonology is given in these slides. You can read it and you can go through the detailed chapter of about phonology in the book of George Jules, The Study of Language, which I am following to teach you. Phonology has a great importance for many linguistic disciplines. It is not just an all-encompassing single discipline, but it has relationship with other disciplines as well, such as psycholinguistics. In phonology, I have told you we study speech sounds of a language, while in psycholinguistics, researchers focus on how the brain processes and understand these sounds or the language information, in other words. It is also related to cognitive sciences. It is concerned with the mental representation of linguistic information in cognitive sciences, which is relevant to linguistics and phonology. We see how language or linguistic information is represented in our mind. In sociolinguistics, we see the link of phonology, that how language varieties or differences in the language have impact of on meaning in different social situations or contexts. And in language acquisition, how children acquire their first language knowledge and how learners learn the knowledge of a second language or foreign language, how they learn the sound system of a language. It is studied. uh, Principles of phonology or the theories or its disciplines information or knowledge can also be applied to the treatment of speech pathology. We know that some people have some problems with their speech communication or their language skills. Phonology helps the speech pathologist in assessment, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of communication or language related problems. Phonology also helps in technology. We know that nowadays very intelligent computer softwares are used for um, spoken language to be translated into text, or Google Voice search, or there are many other softwares like Siri and Cortana that help us in our computer management or in our working with our computers and smartphones. We have seen that phonetics is the study of the physical aspects of language. It is about articulation. We studied the articulatory phonetics. We have read about the acoustic and auditory phonetics, which is about the physical properties related to language. But in phonology, we study about the underlying design of the language and different uh, you can say the abstract knowledge of the language. Now let's move toward the main topic of our lecture, What is studied in phonology? I have just told you a few minutes ago that the language knowledge that is in our mind is realized quite differently in our everyday speech. I have copied a few examples from George Yule's study of language here. The English alphabet letter T, t, the sound t, though written same everywhere, every time in the text, but it is pronounced differently, or when we are speaking, it is realized differently in speech events. It has different pronunciations, and you can see that all the following examples have the different pronunciation of sound t, tar, tar, with an extra puff of air that is known as aspiration, star, writer, eighth. In all these examples, the sound of letter t is different from one another. In the phonology of English, they are all represented in the same way, but physically they are all different because they are realized. By realized, I mean spoken, uttered, pronounced differently in speech. Phoneme, what is a phoneme? I have been using this word in this lecture and we have been talking about it in previous lectures as well. Let's see what is a phoneme. Phoneme are the mental representation of speech sounds. Being a Pakistani, I am equipped with a mental knowledge of phoneme or sounds of the Urdu language. I know the word structure, grammar, and syntax of Urdu. This knowledge was not presented to me in the written form by my parents or elders, but being a part of Urdu society or Pakistani society, it has enabled me to store all this information in my mind. But when I need to put this information into use, for instance, while I am speaking the sounds of a phoneme, it may differ from other instances of same phoneme sounds because of so many factors such as my mood, the health conditions, my need to stress a particular sound or a word, etc. The actual realization of a sound in speech is known as phone, and these phones are written in square brackets. You can see examples of phonemes like f, and t. These are the the phonemes are written between uh, slashes. It is not written between square bracket, but these are written between slashes. Like you can see the examples here on the slide. F, p, and v. All these phonemes are written between slashes. These phonemes work, you can say, contrastively. By this I mean that they can change the meaning of the word. Now let's see what is the contrastive property. To determine the phoneme that exists in a language, we use the contrastive property. By contrastive property, I mean that these sounds enable us to understand meaning of different words because of phonemic differences. Uh, like when I write NIGHT, night, and I change sound, nasal n sound with k, k. The word I get is kite. Night and kite, these are two different words with different meanings. So these phonemes help us distinguishing meaning of different words. We have studied the phonemes of English language like the consonants and the vowels in the previous chapter. We have seen the manners of articulation, places of articulation, and the being voiced and voiceless of these phonemes. And there were other features of vowels which we have discussed in detail in the previous lecture. The features of each sounds are used to create these charts. We know that the feature of, for example, p is a bilabial sound which is voiced and it is a stop, and then k, which is a velar voiced and a stop. All these features are used to distinguish one phoneme from the other. And you can see that I have used the plus or minus signs or marks to show the presence or absence of the features which distinguish one from the other. Now let's see what is a natural class of sounds. All the sounds that share same properties or same features are called are known as the part of natural class or a natural set. We can say in phonology, a natural class is a set of phonemes in a language that share certain distinctive features or qualities, such as manner or place of articulation, or being voiced or voiceless. Uh, we can see another thing here, like natural class, and then I will come to the concept of phones and allophones. I have just told you that the phonemes are mental representations, and when we speak these phonemes, they may differ from that mental representation. So, the actual pronounced or uttered sound is known as phone, and these phones are uh, written between square brackets. And we have a set of phones, all of which are different versions of same phoneme. We call them allophones. For example, for example, I will explain it with a definition. Allophones are a kind of phoneme that change its sound based on how a word is spoken, and there are multiple possible spoken utterances or pronunciations of each phone, and these multiple possible utterances are known as allophones. For example, the word tha, here the T, letter T, or the sound T, is pronounced with an extra puff of air that is called aspiration. Then writer, here we know W is silent and the stress is initial ra sound, writer. And then in 8, the final theta sound, sound changes the sound of T. It is not pronounced explicitly T sound. It changed its sound because of the final sound of th. And the concept of allophone is not applicable just on the consonant, but it also applies on vowels. We can see with the example of nasalization, the sound of the long vowel e changes because of final n sound, nasal sound, that is represented with letter n. For example, in b and bean, the long vowel e sound changes because of nasalization, and this nasalization is presented in narrow or detailed uh, phonemic transcription by a sign that is given in this presentation. Now let's see what is a minimal pair. A minimal pair is a pair of words with one phonemic difference only. We change one phoneme and we get a different word that has a different meaning. That phoneme could be initial or final sound, it could be a consonant sound, it could be the sound between initial and final sounds, and it could be a vowel sound or a consonant. We alter, we substitute, or we replace just one phoneme and get a minimal pair or set of these set of words that all have different meanings. For example, bat is different from fat. Bat is different from bat. We are changing just one phoneme. We are replacing the word with just one phoneme, and we are getting a totally new word that has a totally different meaning. Previously, I have shown you the examples of minimal pairs. Now we are seeing minimal sets. When a group of words can be differentiated by changing one phoneme in the same position in the word, we have a minimal set. For example, feet, fit, fat, fate, foot. You can see these all examples have initial and final t sound, but the vowels are being replaced, and we are getting new words that have totally different meanings from the previous ones. Phonotactics. In each language, we know there are number of patterns or rules that administer the possible phoneme sequence to form new words. These rules restrict us from forming words. For example, in Urdu, pa, pe, and fe, coming together is not seen. Like pa, pe can come with alif, but pe cannot come with f. I have not, at least I have not heard a word that starts with p and is followed by f sound. If you have heard, please let me know. Similarly, in Urdu, in English, we will not find a word that where an alveolar lateral sound l is followed by v and f letters or sounds. I have seen L being followed by O, A, but I have never seen L being followed by F or V letters. So these phonotactics are the permitted arrangements of sounds in a language. These they help us forming the permissible words. This is enough for today. We will proceed with the remaining topics in the next lecture. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you.